So, good afternoon. Bonjour. Un petit peu. So, how were your dreams last night? So, you're supposed to check at the last part of the night. And then during the last part of the night for me, I woke up, thinking I was late to give this review session. So, it says in the traditional text, in the dream, to receive teachings, very auspicious. Probably to give teachings, also very auspicious. But to dream that you're late to give a teaching, I didn't see that. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not sure exactly what I'm doing here. I feel a bit embarrassed, especially following after the first three people who gave sessions, Venerable René, Venerable Lexok, and Venerable Amy, I actually knew before I ordained. And so due in part to their kindness, first with Venerable René in Dharmasala giving review sessions during His Holiness the Dalai Lama's teachings during Losar back in 2004 probably. And then Venerable Amy, I had the good fortune to do the Nune retreat at Tushita with her. And then Venerable Lexok, I actually knew his sister quite well. And then we also met and we talked about life at Sera before I signed on the dotted line. So now you have me. So at least the one good thing I can say is, like the Kadampa masters, they said, they're always nervous when good things happened, because that meant their good karma was being exhausted. And rather, they would be happy when misfortunate events would happen to them because that meant their negative karma is exhausting, right? So for me at least, giving this session, I think it's auspicious for you in that your good karma to receive teachings from qualified masters like Lama Zopa Rinpoche is not going to go down at all during this session. And I hope that, well, if you have any negative karma to be, misled, maybe that's not so nice. Anyway, I'll try my best. You try your best too. Okay? And before we get started, let's just do in the normal way to adjust our motivation. So as Lama Tsongkhapa himself says, that it's not enough that the teaching be a Mahayana teaching, but our motivation also has to be a Mahayana motivation. So please think at this time, on this occasion, that the purpose of my life is to benefit all sentient beings, and in particular, in order that I may liberate all sentient beings from the oceans of samsaric suffering and lead them to the highest state of enlightenment, I myself must first attain the state of my highest potential, that of Buddhahood. And since the attainment of Buddhahood is not without causes and conditions, then we need to learn about the various practices that lead to enlightenment. and put them into practice. And therefore, I'm going to attend this review session this afternoon. And then also think that due to whatever positive potential or merit that we create in our time here this afternoon, please set the intention that that may only become the cause for all sentient beings, vast as the vastness of space, to quickly be freed from all of samsaric suffering and abide in the peerless state of full enlightenment as quickly as possible. Okay, thank you. So, what to say? So, Venerable had this analogy of a teaching with Rinpoche being like a symphony, or a retreat with Rinpoche being like a symphony. Good. I think the teachings, however, are more like a jazz concert, Yes. I'll explain why. You see, in jazz, you have the normal chord progression, right? That's there. But then, the individual members will come up and they'll improvise. They'll riff on the various melodies like this, right? So whereas when you go to a symphony, you go to Beethoven's Fifth. Whether you go to it in Vienna or Zurich or New York, it'll be the same, right? But in a jazz concert, even if they do the same piece, then even night to night, the same group performing, it'll be completely different. You understand? So, I think, well, you guys might know this from your own experience with Rinpoche, it's more like that. Even the same Lamrim teaching you receive, of course, the same basic outline, the same basic structure is there. Some of the same stories are also there. But you see, this is the quality of the Buddha. Depending on the individual needs and karma of the people in attendance, then the teaching will match the level, right? So in any case, where are we so far in the teaching? But we've just finished the preparation for the initiation yesterday. And all the teachings thus far, this is my opinion, they've all gone to the common and uncommon preliminaries to take the initiation. Okay? So on the first day, when Rinpoche was talking about the precious human rebirth and the fact that we should rejoice that we haven't died yet, he's going through the various parts of Lamrim. And so he had talked about the so-called small scope, or what do you translate? Initial capable being, small capable being. Is that how you say? Kebuchungu. And then, of course, yesterday he talked a lot in the course of the initiation about the particular motivation, talking about the motivation with which we need to take the initiation. But at the start of yesterday, when we came in and we're doing the Barche Lam cell. Very nice. Thank you, Sarah. Then, when Rinpoche got onto the throne, he started to speak about it. And for me, well, the words were, he goes into this story, this important distinction about, the word sul in Tibetan, right? And he talked about how, although, well, we're doing it for His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, it's not that His Holiness, the Dalai Lama, is sick, right? But rather, showing the aspect. Sul is like, showing that aspect, right? So, the Buddhas appear in the aspect according to the needs and karma of the disciples, right? So he mentioned that there was a puja sponsored for His Holiness at Kopan, and one of the nuns, the Gekku, had said in the dedication that His Holiness is sick. His Holiness is sick. And he said that's actually a big mistake, right? So why? Because, you see, he was explaining, actually the quotation is from Uttara Tantra, where even a bodhisattva on the Arya path, the path of seeing, no longer has true suffering in her continuum. So the true sufferings, the four common ones being the suffering of aging, birth, aging, sickness, and death, right? The Arya Bodhisattvas don't have that at all. So then His Holiness, who is, Avalokiteshvara in human form, means a Buddha, then no need to mention that doesn't have true suffering. So to say that His Holiness is sick, then you're deprecating. You guys understand? Deprecating means you're undervaluing the stage and realization of His Holiness. And by doing that, it's extremely heavy negative karma. So then, very interesting, he then related it to the practice of Dogyal, right? Shukden, which I never heard Rinpoche speak like this before. But to even say that, Pabonka Rinpoche, Trijang Rinpoche didn't practice Dogyal. It's like, oh. But show the aspect of practicing Dogyal. You understand the distinction? Very important because, you see, I heard some years ago, then there was even a quite famous, quite learned Tibetan Geshe who kind of he was kind of joking, but he said, because before the practice of Shukden was, kind of widespread and done in the monasteries in South India, well, at least at Serame and Ganden. And then this Geshe said, oh, well, now it's like the medicine has become poison. You understand? So then I heard Rinpoche at Seta talking about it like this, that's actually a mistake to say even like that. That before it was okay, but now it's not. Because when we have that kind of thought, well, I don't know if any of us are at risk, but some people, then it can be extremely confusing, that, if it was good before, what has changed about the practice that is not good now? You know? But the point is that, you know, it was never, quote unquote, good. And in another text that Lama Zopa Rinpoche wrote as a preface to a text that was published in Mongolia, he you know, puts together, and many other scholars did this as well, you know, quotations back from the time of the fifth Dalai Lama, and also Chankya Ronpa Dorje, and many other great masters from centuries ago who had expressed their misgivings and objection about the practice. So anyway, now, you know, putting it to what Rinpoche was saying last night, you know, that practice, well, it was never good. It was never acceptable. And even the great lineage masters like Pabonko Rinpoche and Chujang Rinpoche, they didn't practice it. You know, they took the aspect of doing the practice, well, to benefit sentient beings. Just like, you know, there's the story of, who is it? The great king in Tibet, Chusong Detsen, right? Sonseng Gampo? Yeah. So there's two Getsuls who came from Amdo, and they had a vision, I think, of Manjushri, who told them if they met Sonseng Gampo, who is the, you know, in Lhasa, they would get enlightened. But when they reached Lhasa, you know, they saw that King Songtsen Gampo was executing many people. And so they lost faith. And so they didn't take, well, actually, Songtsen Gampo, by the way, an emanation of Avalokiteshvara. You know, Chenrezig, the Buddha of compassion, right? But, see, and why the king was showing this, actually, no one was being killed, right? But they had all these rules against hunting and fishing and all this stuff. And so when you then show the display of people getting executed, then people would refrain then from committing negative karma. You know? So out of compassion, made that emanation, made that display. Right? But actually no one was killed. See? But those two novice monks, not knowing this, you know, believing the appearance as true, they lost faith, they didn't receive teachings, and so they got a minor city of being able to kind of turn dirt into gold or something like this. They could, yeah. So they got 2 bags of gold. I mean, compared to the unified state of Rajadhara, like, no question. So anyway, then Rinpoche, you know, he continued on this point. And you know, when I was saying, like in a jazz concert, you have the overall chord progression and so forth, right? So the chord progression that Rinpoche is actually doing is Lam Rim. You understand? So this actually, you know, if you put it in the context of the Lam Rim, you know, he was teaching the section on how to devote yourself to the spiritual friend, right? Where you have, as many of you, you know, old time, no, I shouldn't say that, experienced students know, then you have how to devote in thought and how to devote in action, right? So how to devote in thought is the real heart of it. How to see your guru as Buddha. And so, you know, in the Lam Rim outlines, you know, from Prabhupada Rinpoche and liberation in the palm of your hand, right? We have the four, right? That the first Vajradhara said that in future times I will appear in an ordinary form, right? And then that, the gurus are the agent of all the Buddha's activities. 3, that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for the welfare of sentient beings. And then 4, that our appearances are untrustworthy. But you see, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, when he gives teachings on this, he says, for us, for us who might find it hard, to believe, oh, Vajradhara said so, right? Then the order is switched. And the first one, for us to meditate on is our appearances are untrustworthy. You understand? Right? So why haven't we realized that our guru is the Buddha? Because it doesn't appear as a Buddha. I mean, right? Right? So remember, okay, we were talking a little bit earlier about these, different bodies of the Buddha, Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, all this, right? You guys, yes? So of the Nirmanakaya or emanation bodies of Buddha, right, then we have what's called the supreme emanation body. Shakyamuni Buddha was one, right? So supreme emanation body, then, the Buddha would refer to himself as the Tathagata, right? So to the ordinary appearance of sentient beings at that time, he appeared as a Buddha. They would ask him questions. He'd say, oh yeah, the Tathagata knows that, and he'll explain. Subtle workings of karma, he would explain. But now, when you see His Holiness give teachings, he'll say, I don't know. He'll show the aspect of forgetting things, right? And then, of course, showing the aspect of getting sick, right? That is showing ordinary aspect, right? Ordinary means not enlightened aspect. So it's clear His Holiness is showing an ordinary aspect, but is that reason, is that a logically, infallible reason to then conclude that His Holiness or a guru is not a Buddha? No way. No way. So then, as you guys know from the Lamrim, there's many examples. First, there's the example that Chandrakirti gives in the Majjhimika Avatara with the bowl of water that appears, to a preta, a human, and a deva as either blood and pus, water, or nectar, depending on the karma. Yeah? So this is very important, right? What appears to us, right, is dependent on our own minds, our own karma, right? So, the preta who, is in the lower realms due to having, acted out of attachment or having stolen, then the ripening effect of that is then to be deprived of resources in that life, right? So then even they see a river over there, right? They go. By the time they reach the river, it's either dried up or it's, blood and pus or something they can't enjoy. You see? Due to karma. Then us, humans, better karma, we see it as water. Deva, even better karma, well, in some ways. Actually, we have a lot better karma, us in this room, because we've met Dharma. But I'm talking about the karma to see water or nectar. In that regard, they have better karma than us. Okay? Then they see nectar. Then, of course, a Buddha, uncontaminated, blissful wisdom nectar, right? Then, we have so many. We all know the story of Asanga, seeing Maitreya. Huh? Yes? Seeing Maitreya an aspect of a dog, right? Then, moved by great compassion for this dog who's had a big wound on it that was infected with maggots. Then to think, if I remove the maggots, they'll die, cutting flesh off of his own leg so that the maggots would have some place to go. And then when he tries to remove the maggots, he thinks, but if I pinch them with my hands, they might die. So thinks to remove them with his tongue. Can you imagine? So then due to that act of compassion, then right as he puts his tongue there to the dog's, hind legs, then it's Maitreya. Right? So the purification that happened the purification of negative karma, due to the power of compassion, then remove the obscuration to see Maitreya in his, holy, beautiful form, and could see. So it says in the text, even at that time, Asanga, he was, Arya Asanga, right? So he was on the third ground, it is said, he was on the third ground, and yet he couldn't see Maitreya. He could only see a dog. So, any of you, fourth ground or higher? Then, there's no need to mention, right, that we wouldn't, expect to have pure appearance. And then now, since we're doing, we hope to, do some Vajrayogini practice, then there's even the story from the Vajrayogini lineage masters, right? Where the master Krishnacharya and his student, who was still a novice monk, Kusali, then they're traveling, and of course the master goes first. So at one point they are crossing a river, and they see a leper woman. So the master, Krishnacharya, then just goes on, passes. Then his student, right, the novice Kusali, overwhelmed by compassion for this leper woman in the middle of the river, then decides to help, right? So picks up the woman, then becomes Vajrayogini. Wow. Then Vajrayogini took him right away to Vajrayogini Pure Land, Takpa Kachue. You understand? I was going to say this later, but I'll say it now. You see, I wonder, already in some of the question and answer, it happens in retreats. It's okay. But this whole am I going to get to 100,000? Right? You understand? So, some of my first retreats, I would have an Excel spreadsheet, right? No, really. No. No, come on. We got to be, quite exact. And then you plan out the day, number of sessions, this many, malas, da-da-da. And then especially when you have, multiple deities, and it's good to keep track. And then I would always, I used to work in finance, so have the formula for okay, this is how many, malas I have to average per day and per hour, and this, in order to hit my numbers. Huh? What? Yes? Oh, you can't hear? Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, hello. Okay. Yes.
Translate is very nice, very nice. Okay, so may the Chen help us. Okay. 美德，我是想问一下哈，法师那个闭金刚瑜伽母观世多年，那么金刚瑜伽母的女性本尊，它的实质的含义是什么？我们为什么要受这个灌顶，甚至要闭关？就是金刚瑜伽母这位女性的本尊代表一个真正的什么含义 ？OK， 因为本尊很多，哎。不是，他同意了吗？好。
So she want to ask that Vajrayogini is a female deity.
Okay, yeah.
It's a female deity. So she'd like to know that what is the significance? Why is a female deity? Then why it's important for us to have this retreat? Yeah.
So, first of all, let me just say, Tashidile to the Anila. And I understand that there's a few from mainland China who have come here. And that makes me extremely happy. Very happy. There's also one very new monk from China. It makes me very, very happy. So, Tashidile. And yeah. Now, this was going to be a review session. But, review means something that's already been covered and then to go over it again, right? Now, the significance of Vajrayogini, why she's a female deity, and why we need to do this retreat. Well, some of that we're going to get into later, right? But some of it actually is review, right? Why we need to do this retreat, I was going to get to this in a minute, but is it already 3:11? Wow. We have till 3:30? Oh, wow. So I will answer part of why it's important to do this retreat, you know, in a little bit. Okay? I was just going through some aspects of the Guru devotion, and then later I'm going to talk about the motivation for doing this retreat. And I hope in that context we'll answer part of why it's important to do a Vajrayana retreat in general. And then later, when we get into the Vajrayogini kind of uncommon part, I'm pretty sure that Lama Zopa Rinpoche will discuss the particular benefits. But right now, we're still in Haruka land. Okay? Okay? I mean, it's the same place. You know? It's like the EU, you know? You get a visa to one, you can go to anywhere. You know? Schengen visa. Anyway, she's blank face. Okay? Anyway, is it okay? Okay. Yeah. Okay. But I will explain a little bit more later, and then you tell me if it's not satisfying, and I'll say more. Okay? Anyway, but later, yeah, okay. Oh, buku shi. Okay. Okay. So now, we were talking about, you know, the Guru devotion, right? And the need to realize, you know, our Guru is the Buddha. You understand? And so, the four outlines in Lamrim, we then talked about how Rinpoche likes to flip the order. And explicitly, he only talked about this first one, right? But I thought to go over the rest because, you know, although we said review, you know, it's kind of like, any of you study Madhyamika Avatara by Chandrakirti? Yeah. So, you know, in that text, I mean, maybe I'm just talking to you, Chantal. A few people, okay, good. You know, in that text, right, it's a commentary of the fundamental wisdom by Nagarjuna, right? But the fundamental wisdom of Nagarjuna, its subject matter, explicit subject matter, is emptiness, only emptiness. But he doesn't talk about the extensive Gyachimpu Lam, right? But Chandrakirti, even though he's commentating on the Nagarjuna's fundamental wisdom, he takes from, you know, the precious garland, Rinchen Trengwa, you know, Ratnavali, in his Madhyamika Avatara to present both the profound path and the extensive deeds lineage path, right? So, you know, although Rinpoche only explicitly spoke about the first of the four to establish your Guru as a Buddha, I'm going to add the other three. You know? So, anyway, the first one, that our appearances are deceptive, is to just kind of clear away the ground before we really look into things, right? So then the next step is to think of, you know, that our Guru is the agent of all the Buddha's actions, right? So if we think of it this way, okay, there's a quotation from Sutra that says something like, you know, that the Buddhas do not wash away sins with water, nor do they remove the suffering with their hands, nor do they transfer their realizations to another mind stream, but the Buddhas liberate sentient beings through teaching the reality of suchness. So, who is doing that for us? Who is guiding us to enlightenment? Okay? How do the Buddhas act? Right? Of course, they have many activities, many emanations, like it says in the Bodhisattva Charyavatara. Shandideva makes prayers. May I be a bridge to all those who want to cross a river, a boat, bedding, a slave, a lamp, a medicine, a nurse. So in general, the Bodhisattvas, they're making aspirational prayers to appear in any kind of form that's needed for sentient beings. Right? Whatever's needed, even inanimate objects. But you see, since the Buddhas want us to be free from suffering, we need to get rid of the cause of suffering, which is the root of the root of the root, is the misapprehension, the grasping to the inherent existence of ourselves and other phenomena. Without that, even the Buddha, we're tired, the Buddha manifests as a bed, we have a nice sleep, okay. But we're still in samsara. We're still in samsara until we uproot the fundamental misapprehension, the grasping to true existence. And to do that, we need to discover, we need to realize how things actually exist. That all phenomena lack inherent existence. But since that's so difficult, then, the Buddhas, out of their, omniscient wisdom, then, they teach whatever is needed that will give beings the quickest way to realization, which means, by the way, they wouldn't just teach to everyone that things lack true existence, right? In the lower tenet systems, the Buddha taught things truly exist. So it's only by having this, omniscient mind that can then determine the needs of the disciples that, is the unique feature of the Buddha, why the Buddha's teachings are, completely unmistaken. So then the question to us is, who in this world is performing the activities of the Buddha? Giving teachings, giving initiations, giving vows, giving commentaries. Okay, you put that on the side for 1 sec. Then we get to the third point, that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for the benefit of sentient beings. Okay. So, in the Theravadan system, then they hold that kind of just as the ordinary appearance was of the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, they believe just like that, right? That the Buddha was, first just born as a regular being in the palace, left the palace, meditated, went to the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya, and got enlightened under the Bodhi tree. And he was 35 at that time, and then he taught for the next 45 years of his life, and then at the age of 80 in Kushinagar, passed away into parinirvana, and then the mental continuum was cut. They hold that, right? Because they hold that, for us, right, what is propelling the cycle of rebirth is our karma and afflictions. The Buddha has exhausted or abandoned karma and afflictions, and therefore, just like when a butter lamp or a candle runs out of butter or wax, then just snuffed out, no more flame, then their school holds that there's no more cause for rebirth. Okay? We don't believe that. No. See, and we say, they're assuming that there's only one type of rebirth due to karma and afflictions. But like in the Ornament of Mahayana Sutras, they talk about 4 types of rebirths that bodhisattvas can take, either due to karma and afflictions on the path of accumulation or preparation, due to concentration, those who attain like the first firm contemplation and so forth, and then are able to be reborn in the form and formless realm. And then there's the samshindu, like as one wishes, as one thinks. So these bodhisattvas can direct their rebirth exactly as they think. Is there 4? That was 3. Huh? That was 3, yeah. Anyway. Karma and afflictions. Yeah, something like this. Anyway, you get my point. Just because it's a birth doesn't mean it has to be due to karma and afflictions. So even Arya Bodhisattvas, they're taking rebirth not due to karma and afflictions, but due to their bodhicitta, uncontaminated karma, and pure prayers. Right? So the mental continuum, continues. Even after the afflictions are abandoned, it continues. Not in samsara anymore, but it continues in a, non-afflicted state. So therefore, the Buddha, the historical Buddha, after he manifests parinirvana, and by the way, in our system, wasn't enlightened in Bodh Gaya. You guys know, right? But was enlightened many, many eons ago, and everything he displayed as a supreme emanation body here on earth, just display, like an actor in a show, right? So even the passing away into parinirvana was an enlightened activity of the Buddha to help the disciples overcome their grasping to permanence. Right? Before he passed away, all conditioned phenomena are impermanent. This is the last teaching of Buddha. Okay. So now we're coming at it from 2 directions, right? This direction was the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are still working for the benefit of sentient beings. And the other direction, we were asking, who is performing the activities of the Buddha for us? Because remember, this, by the way, is another reason in the Uttara Tantra why sentient beings all have the potential to be enlightened. We mentioned some yesterday. But the other one is that all sentient beings are the object of like the Chuyu. The Buddhas are working for the benefit of all sentient beings. You understand? We were talking about Buddha nature yesterday. The fact that the afflictions aren't inherently part of the mind, yes, that's good. Right? The fact that we have a direct antidote, the wisdom directly realizing emptiness, that can uproot it, okay, that's also good. But just imagine if that realization, someone had that realization, but didn't have compassion for us, and therefore didn't teach how to realize emptiness. Right? Then we still couldn't get liberated or enlightened. So the fact that the Buddha has compassion for all sentient beings and therefore works for our benefit, that's what also makes enlightenment possible. Okay? So, the bodhisattvas, or the Buddhas when they still were bodhisattvas, for the benefit of all sentient beings, I'm going to attain enlightenment. So then they attain enlightenment for us. Now, after they've attained enlightenment, they're still working for our benefit. Okay? Yes? All right. I mean, if there is such a thing as a Buddha, then of course it's working for our benefit. So now, that was this side. Now this side, who is working for our benefit? Our Guru. Lama Zopa Rinpoche. His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Then the next point, oh, okay. The Buddhas are leading us to enlightenment. The Buddhas are benefiting us. But if you have the doubt, oh, but my Guru is not a Buddha, right? So for example, let's take Buddha Heruka, right? Guru Heruka is leading us to enlightenment because he has compassion for all sentient beings and we're a sentient being, right? So now, oh, Guru Heruka is leading us to enlightenment, but our Guru is not Buddha. So then the question becomes, oh, Heruka is not leading me to enlightenment. Instead, this, non-enlightened being is. If this doubt comes up, then you say, oh, why is that? Is it because Heruka doesn't have the wish to lead you to enlightenment? No way. That means he wouldn't have bodhicitta. Does it mean he doesn't have the ability? No way. He's the omniscient Buddha. And all Buddhas have the same, realization and qualities in that regard. Any other arguments? No way. Oh, well, you might have other arguments, but no good ones. No good ones. So then it comes together, right? On the one hand, the Buddhas are leading us to enlightenment. My Guru is leading me to enlightenment, it's like A equals B, B equals C. Therefore, A equals what? Thank you. And then last, yes. Then we come to the quotations from Vajradhara, right? But you see, this is what His Holiness is emphasizing, right? You see, remember, you guys heard this stuff, the followers of faith and the followers of reasoning, the sharp faculty disciples and the, well, what's politically correct to say, lesser sharp, right? So the followers of faith, right, just based on hearing their guru teach, they believe. Like this comes up in the first chapter of Abhisamayalankara anyway. The point is, at the beginning of Abhisamayalankara, there's the talk of the omniscient mind, right? The omniscient mind. And so to have the mind of bodhicitta, the altruistic wish to achieve enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, right? Then, after you get to the point of great compassion, the sharp faculty beings, before they then say, okay, I will attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings, they check whether enlightenment is possible or not. And to do that, they need to see then if the obscurations are suitable to be abandoned or not. Right? The obscuration being grasping to true existence. And how do they discover that? Well, to then discover that the grasping to true existence is a wrong view. And to discover that, they have to realize that the object held to by grasping to true existence, which is a non-existent, they realize that that doesn't exist and therefore suitable to be abandoned. You understand? Then and only then, they sign up. I will attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. You understand? No? So, A, they realize emptiness before they realize bodhicitta. Okay? All right. Now, the followers of faith, well, I mean, our textbook said a J. We say that, yeah, most of them do realize emptiness, but there's a few who don't realize emptiness before they realize bodhicitta, right? So before they really know for sure that enlightenment is possible, that it's attainable, they don't care. You know, they just so motivated by compassion, they believe their guru saying that enlightenment exists, they say, okay, I'm going to do that. You understand? So His Holiness nowadays, he's saying that us, we need to be 21st century Buddhists, which means to establish everything, you know, by reasoning and not just relying on scripture, right? So, you know, of those four in the traditional Lamrim, the fourth one, Vajradhara said so, Vajradhara said in the future I'll appear as a Buddha, it's actually not needed. It's not needed to realize that the Guru is a Buddha. What do you think? But it's there. Wow, we're almost out of time. Okay. So anyway, but I'll just finish this with this, and then I'll do something else, and then we'll finish totally. So, you know, we're talking about Guru Yoga, right? Guru Yoga, the uncommon preliminary, right? So, this is an important point. You see, just although we come in the morning and we're reciting Lama Chupa, it's not necessarily Guru Yoga. Even though we recite all the words in the 6th session Guru Yoga, it's not necessarily Guru Yoga, right? For the practice to become Guru Yoga, it needs to be done with the understanding that our Guru is inseparable from then whoever we're practicing. You understand? So in the morning in Lama Chupa, it's Lama, Lozang, Tubwang, Dorje, Chang, right? You seen this in the commentary? Right? So Lama, Losang is Losang Drakpa, Lama Tsongkhapa. Tupwang, at his heart, the Buddha. Dorje Chang, at his heart, Vajradhara. So when we do this practice, we need to have the recognition, can I say this? That our Guru, Lama Tsongkhapa, Shakyamuni Buddha, and Vajradhara, inseparable in nature. Right? And with any other practice we're doing, then same thing. Right? When we do Chittamani Tara Yoga, Guru Yoga, same. You know, our Guru and Tara, not, you know, it's not like we find Tara here and our Guru is here. Inseparable. Okay? All right, so I'll just say to my friend here, why is this retreat important? Right? So this Rinpoche was covering in the when he started with the actual initiation, he gave a quote from the 37 Practices of Bodhisattvas. You know, when sentient beings who've cherished, something like this, when sentient beings who have cherished us from time without beginning are suffering, what's the use of our own happiness? Therefore, to generate the mind of bodhicitta, therefore, in order to liberate limitless sentient beings, to generate the mind of bodhicitta is the practice of bodhisattvas. Yes, you. Yes, Anila. What's that? Okay. Therefore, in order to liberate limitless sentient beings, to generate the mind of bodhicitta is the practice of bodhisattvas. Okay? So, in short, actually, why we need to do any kind of Dharma practice, and especially to try to enter the mandala, we need to get enlightened. Well, no, actually, no. That's second. We need to liberate countless suffering sentient beings. You understand? Not only that, but it's our responsibility to do that. Okay? So, I was going to go into this more, but, like, when the Buddha first turned the wheel of Dharma, he had 5 disciples, right? As he was giving that teaching, then as he was giving the teaching, they all became arhats by the end of the teaching. You understand? You know this? So why? In one of the Buddha's past lives, there were 5 rakshas, blood drinkers, and the Bodhisattva gave his blood and said, later in the future times, may I give you the nectar of Dharma. So, making that connection. You understand? So, all the Buddhas are the same in terms of their qualities, in terms of their realization, but the difference is, it says in Abhidharma Kosha, the height of their body, right? How many disciples they have, and how long their teachings last in the world. So, if we put it another way, you see, just like the Buddha, in his retinue, were all people that he had very strong karmic links with. Us too, we have uncommon karmic links with other sentient beings. Okay? So therefore, although we might have the wish, may all sentient beings be free from suffering, as great as that is, it's like someone starving comes to us, we're enjoying a nice, baguettes, pain au chocolat or something, right? And then we say, yum, 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 yum. May you get a meal soon. Yum, 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 yum. No. It's up to us. It's up to us to feed this one that has come in front of us. You see? So, similarly, it's like, there's countless sentient beings who are not yet liberated from samsara. And, let's fast forward. Okay. We see that although we have the wish that they be free from suffering, that's not enough. We then have to go one step further and say, no, actually, it's my responsibility to liberate this sentient being from suffering. Why? Because countless Buddhas have appeared in the past, yet this sentient being is not yet liberated. So, who's going to do it? Me. Then, but wait a minute. I myself am not free of suffering. I myself have so many faults. How am I going to liberate this sentient being from suffering? I'm not even liberated. But if I'm able to attain the highest state of enlightenment, purify my mind of all faults, and develop my good qualities to the highest potential, then I'll be in the perfect, state to work for their benefit in the best way I can. And that's what I'm going to do. That's roughly what bodhicitta is. But even that's not enough for this, you see. Let's fast forward, okay? The very day that we become enlightened, just like the Buddha in his first teaching, during that teaching, you know, those 5 got liberated. So the first day that you're all enlightened, you'll liberate countless sentient beings. Amazing. Amazing. Right? The very first day. So now imagine, okay? It's kind of like this, you know, in a very real sense, those sentient beings are waiting for you to become enlightened. Isn't it? Right? So then if you have the choice, oh, you know, I can either get enlightened today and liberate those countless sentient beings, or tomorrow, and we choose tomorrow. Then you see, between then, today, and tomorrow, it's as if all that additional suffering, is like completely unnecessary. You see? Yes? So, I'll give another example, right? So you see, let's say someone you really cared about, like your mother, you know, they got bit by a snake. And the antidote, are there snakes here? Anyway. The antidote is in Toulouse, right? So, you just go running as fast as you can to the hospital to get it and try to bring it back, right? But you see, you know, if you're like me, very out of shape, then to run there and back take many hours. Meanwhile, your mother is suffering. Every second that goes by when she doesn't have the antidote to the poison, she's suffering. You see? So then, you ask, oh, is there any quicker way that I could get to Toulouse and back? No, not because, oh, it's so hot, I don't want to. No, because my mother is suffering every second that she doesn't have the antidote. You know, for you, no problem. You know, it would just be like, you know, the original, how the marathon came to be, right? You know, there's some person at the shore, saw the enemy army come, said, I have to warn my city. So he ran 26.2 miles, died. But he got the warning to them, right? So it's like that. No matter what happens to me, doesn't matter. I need to, you know, to free them. Then with that thought, to think, okay, you know, we talk about 3 countless eons, what does that even mean? Okay. Even if it takes so long, even if it takes, you know, an ocean of eons, even if I have to, you know, take birth in the hells, for me, no problem. But every second that goes by, when I'm not enlightened, then countless mother sentient beings are suffering unnecessarily. Oof, that is unbearable. So, is there any way for them I can get enlightened more quickly? I can liberate them so that I can liberate them more quickly. Then, with that hunger, you search. And even if you searched the 3 realms, you wouldn't find a more profound method than what you're getting this week. You understand? Because of the kindness of our Guru. Okay? So, that's why this retreat is important. Because sentient beings are waiting for you to liberate them. And in order to liberate them, you need to attain enlightenment. And every second that goes by when you're not enlightened, they're suffering uncontrollably. Okay? So if you do this practice, you'll be able to liberate them quicker. How does that sound? Does that answer your question? Huh? I hope that's laughter of joy. Yes? What do you think? We have to go. Yeah. Okay. What's that? Yeah. Okay. We'll, we're here for a long time together, so we can discuss this later. Okay? All right. So anyway, we have to go. Anyway, yeah, I had more to say, but that was the essence. Okay? Anyway, let's dedicate. So, due to the three-time merit accumulated by myself and others, all numberless Buddhas, numberless sentient beings, may I myself become Haruka for the sake of all living beings and lead every one of them to Haruka's supreme state. And then, this is nice, I'll read it. It's the dedication from the yoga of 3 purifications. I like it very much. So due to the three-time merit accumulated by myself and others, numberless Buddhas, numberless Bodhisattvas, and sentient beings, may intense dedication to the teachings and practice of chakra samvara increase. And may this passage for those who want liberation, crossed by tens of millions of powerful yogis, never decline, but last for a very long time. And then we dedicate for the long lives of the spiritual friends, particularly His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche. And in particular, may all the karmic obstacles in the minds of sentient beings be instantly purified right this second. And may we continue to receive extensive teachings and be able to fulfill all of their holy wishes immediately.